All right, what is happening, guys? I am back again with another training session. Today's session, or yesterday's session, I'm just going to say today because it's easier, even though I do these voiceovers a day after. This session, an hour and 19 minutes total. I've started to do like a little bit of I don't want to call it a stretch, just an activation movement prior to the session. I didn't get it in here on camera, but basically it's just right here on this cable, using a V-bar and kind of pulling basically to the hips as much as possible, and really getting a good contraction in that mid-back to really just kind of focus on working and improving that mind-muscle connection for me, since that's an area that's kind of lacking right now. Or I shouldn't say lacking, but I struggle with it a bit. That being said, this movement, single arm, cable row, lat biased, same as always, 8 to 10 reps on the first two sets, and then 12 to 15 reps on the final set. I really backed off on the weight here this week. Top set, I went up to 140 pounds and only got like 9 reps. And I was like, this doesn't feel productive. I'm still in the rep range. It's not for a lack of reps that it doesn't feel productive. It just really didn't feel like I was activating the intended muscle as well as I should be. Basically, it just comes down to, instead of just moving weight for the sake of moving weight, I want to make sure it's a productive session. So you'll see here on the second set, I backed all the way down from 140 to 100. And I was like, yep, this feels good. This is great. So I think next week I'm just going to find a little bit of a better midpoint there. I'll probably end up dropping down to maybe 110, 115 for that first set. Keep the second set at like 110, 115. I think this week I was just, I had to drop it down so much just because that first set was just really fatiguing to me and just didn't really click very well. Overall, though, here, 140 for 9, 100 for 12, and 95 for 15. So everything was good. Next week, the third set, that 95 pounds, will stay the same weight-wise. I'm just going to try and get 2 reps over the high end of the range there on that. Really focus on the reps and the contraction on this movement rather than the weight. It's obviously not a movement I need to be moving a lot of weight on to have it be effective. But yeah, I think next week, going to kind of, again, go to probably 115 on the first and second set. So up on the second set, down on the first set, meet in the middle a little bit, and try to get around 10 reps each. Because this week, again, 9, 12, and 15 was the rep progression with those weights. So the second set, I did go over on the reps. I can definitely go up there. But it just felt a lot more productive dropping that weight. And again, focusing on the contraction, focusing on the movement, really making sure everything felt good here. And I will say, I actually had another pull session today, as of the day I'm recording this. I'll go over that when I get into the next training session, the next one I upload after this. But basically changed my structure throughout the week so that I'm always hitting my back fresh after a rest day. Because right now, my legs, specifically my hamstrings, they're responding really well. The growth is there. Honestly, not even that big of a deal to keep worrying about them. Just kind of put them on the back burner a little bit and let the work do its thing. We're not dropping volume for my legs or anything. It's staying exactly the same. We're just kind of deprioritizing how they're laid out in the weekly routine. But then my back, really still struggling to come up a bit. So we're putting more emphasis on, hey, we're going to hit back, when you're fresher, when it's earlier in the week. Probably going to increase the volume on my pull day a little bit. Switched out of movement. We're no longer doing T-bar rows on my pull day. I'm doing a V-bar cable row instead, which feels great. Did that today, loved it. And I think there's a couple other changes too. Later in the week on my back and shoulder session, we did, actually you'll see this change today. I do a Landmine Row in place of upper back pull downs. So all of those changes feel really good. Lots of changes to back training just to make sure we're continually progressing and addressing any weak points, and things are feeling really good. Moving into the T-bar here on this day, though, pretty good progression here. 145 for 14 on this top set, 135 for 12, and then 10. Same weight, 135 for 10 on that second and third set, respectively. So I think that was a 5-pound progression for me here, maybe 10. No, 5 for sure, 5. And this felt good. Yeah, I went back to the neutral bar here. This is my higher rep day though, where I said I was going to use that neutral grip, and I'm going to keep that in place. I'm not going to be using that pronated grip. I'm just going to be using this neutral grip here on the T-bars. It just feels a lot more effective to me. I was debating dropping the weight a little bit more and kind of arcing over more, just kind of getting more bend to the back, but these felt good. You know, where I'm at, it just feels naturally good. I do feel good activation in the back, so I'm not going to mess with what's working, and these are working really well with a little bit of a lighter load. You know, a higher rep range obviously dictates a little bit of a lighter load. I'm not going to throw on the same load I would try to do for 8 to 12 reps and then try to crank out 15. So the lighter load here, higher reps, and the closer grip really made this feel more effective. So this was good this week. I'm kind of happy to not have the heavy T-bar rows in on my pull day anymore, just because for me on that movement, it's one of the movements where I just like to chase weight, and it's a hard mental barrier for me to get over. Specifically, or I should say especially, because on this day, my lighter day, my back and shoulder day, when I'm doing my shrugs here, I just feel like I'm set up differently for it, right? I'm kind of going into it with the mentality of, okay, I need to get the reps, but on that heavier day, I'm like, more weight, throw a fucking plate on, right? So it's, you know, getting rid of that and instead putting in the cable row with a little bit of a higher rep range on that pull day is going to be really effective. Like I said, I did it today and loved that. But yeah, these were good. Yeah. Weight stays the same on everything here next week, though. Didn't hit any rep goals on this. Well, I mean, I was in my rep range, right? But I didn't break any rep goals. 145 for 14, 135 for 12, 135 for 10. All of them hit the range, so weight is going to stay the same on all sets next week. And yeah, I think with these, my main goal here is really just continue improving, not thrusting forward with the hips, you know, not kind of treating this almost like a stiff leg deadlift where I like have the weight and I just want to move it up, and instead really focusing on getting that upper back contraction. And you'll see here, moving into my lat biased landmine row. This is the new movement that replaces my upper back pull down. These feel really good. It's kind of a unique setup. I'm still trying to figure out if maybe I should just use a bench instead of this box. But these felt solid. No complaints here. The only thing that, you know, might be a little challenging with this movement is just kind of how the plates line up with my leg. They're kind of bumping my leg even with the 25. So as we start throwing more weight on this, because I will need to pretty quickly, I think it might be a little bit of a challenge. But again, felt really good. Liked the movement. I've always liked kind of landmine variants, whether it's rows or presses. Landmine press for chest is one of my favorite. Even though it's arguably more of a front delt loaded exercise than chest, it always really felt good activating my chest. So I do like that movement when I have a reason to add it in. Right now I don't, but I get landmine rows instead. So I'll take it where I can get it. As you can see here, 50 pounds on the bar. Rep goal is 10 to 15. I hit 13 and then 12. First week of the movement, just kind of getting used to it. Loading will probably go up. As you can see, pretty damn strict here on my form, not really pushing anything just because I'm trying to get used to the movement. But yeah, solid motion, solid movement, and it felt really good. So we're going to keep this in, going to stick with this. We'll end up just throwing 50 on next week as well and trying to push up to 17 reps on both sets. Again, rep range is 10 to 15. I like to go 2 over on those lighter single arm movements. So we're going to try and hit 17 before we progress it up. And I think what I'm trying to focus on overall now with my back training specifically is making sure I'm not moving the weight up too quickly. You know, I'm doing a lot of unilateral back work, just overall. And I think I'm trying to add weight too quickly to some movements. So for me, I'm just really going to focus on small incremental progressions and really getting a good contraction and a good connection with the back, because my back is something I very much struggle with when it comes to a mind-muscle connection and actually feeling the muscle that I'm intending to work. That's something a lot of guys struggle with, but I, just have to work through it like anybody else, right? So for me, adding a little bit less weight and really focusing on the form, really focusing on getting some extra reps instead is what I need to do to actually make this more effective for me. So that's what we're going to do. And moving into machine lateral raises. You'll see I am now back to no longer grabbing the bars. I switch this up from time to time. Honestly, it just depends on how my shoulders feel. My shoulders felt a lot better doing it this way this week, so I was like, fuck it, we're going to do this. Hit 117.5 for 17, and then 11, and then 8. Actually 117.5 for 17, and then I dropped to 112.5. I hit that for 11 and 8, and then my final set was 87.5 for 10. The reps dropped off a lot this week, so I took a weight progression on that first set and got like 1 or 2 reps less. That's fine. Second and third set, the weight was the same. I took a 1 rep progression on the second set. I took a 1 rep, or maybe even 2 rep, regression on the third set. And on the fourth set, which was 87.5 pounds, I hit 10 reps, which is just a match. So kind of just shifted reps around here a little bit. Still progressed this week, but something that the grip on this. So going back to that, I'm getting ahead of myself here. When you're grabbing those handles, you can see, I guess I should say when you're not grabbing those handles, you can see how high my arms are able to come up. I'm really able to get a much fuller range of motion and really focus on engaging that side delt without involving a lot of the traps or the lats. And when I'm grabbing the handle, it's a little bit less of a range of motion. So I feel that the fatigue is probably higher when I do it this way. And it just lends itself towards a little bit of a lower rep total that I end up hitting, even if I've made progressions in weight. So like next week, if I went back to grabbing the handles, I'd probably jump up in weight and reps, right? It'd probably be a big progression week because it just makes the movement a little easier. So for now, I think I'm going to stick with just, freehanding it here and not having the handles, or not having my hands or wraps on the handles here, and instead just keeping my arms out to the side. It feels good. It gets me a better range of motion. It engages my traps a little bit less. I think I'm just going to stick with it. And then watch, I'll say that, and next week I'll go back to fucking grabbing the handles. But for now, the plan is to just keep it like this. Either way, again, progression this week. Weight went up, lost a couple reps on the third set. That's really the only point where it didn't improve. Otherwise, all good. And moving into the shoulder press. So you guys can't see it here, but I am now past the max for the machine. I had to throw a gym pin onto the stack. No weight on the gym pin yet. The gym pin itself is 5 pounds. So I just maxed out the machine and threw an extra 5 pounds on it basically. So we are sitting at 265 pounds on this. I hit 265 for 15, and then 265 for 10, and then 145 for 17 on my back off set. Again, the rep goal here is only 8 to 12 on the first 2 sets, and the back off is 15 to 20. So that first set, for like the last 3 weeks, I am just fucking destroying this rep goal. I could probably take like a 15 pound increase on this and still hit my goal. On that first set at least. But I don't want to rush that because I don't need to. If I'm hitting 15, it's not like, man, I did too many. I should have stopped at 12. No, fuck it. I'll just add 5 pounds next week and keep going until, I hit 12. And then it's like, all right, I'll add 5 pounds next week and then I'll start to increment back up again. So for now, weight goes up 5 pounds and we do the same shit next week. It's that simple. Felt really good. I never have any complaints about this movement. I love this machine. I love the movement. It's my only front delt work for the week, so I always come at it super, super fresh. And it feels good. No complaints here. This last set is honestly brutal. This high rep. I guess it's not like a burnout set. I hate that term, but it kind of is. 17 reps, like I said, the goal is 15 to 20. So this last set, that 17, even though the weight is like damn near half the weight, it just feels so much harder. Great movement though. Great machine. Felt really good. Great pump in the delts. Obviously you see burned pretty hard there. But yeah, that was solid. No complaints this week. Moving into the rear Delt Fly. Also set this up a little bit differently this week. I moved the seat up a tiny little bit. And, well, okay, up from the previous week, down from the week before that. So I just kind of middled it, and it felt really good. I kind of locked in, like, okay, this is exactly where I need to be to have this emphasis on my delts without overemphasizing my traps or my elbows getting some pain. I don't really usually have elbow issues on this movement, but I do get a lot of like twinginess, for lack of a better word, in my traps. Specifically, my right trap can sometimes be aggravated here, but this positioning really helped kind of leaning into that pad to create a better path for the rear delt to actually pull through. Rep goal here, 10 to 15 reps, 4 sets total. Did 110 for 14 and then 90 for 16, 13, and 13. So that's a good structure, I think, on movements like this. And honestly, on a lot of my back and shoulder movements, I like doing a top set and then 3 back offs that are all straight sets. I should say like 1 back off and then straight sets for the remaining number of sets, right? It just kind of works well for me. I feel like I can really hit things hard on that first set and then kind of hit them like 95% on those remaining sets, right? But yeah, this was a progression. Next week, though, I'm going to add 5 pounds to that second set. Probably going to keep the third and fourth set the same. No need to push them off faster than they need to go. So first set will stay the same at 110. Second set will go to 95, up from 90. And then third and fourth sets will stay at 90. But yeah, that is going to be about it for this session, guys. As always, if you want, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have in the comments, via messages, whatever. Yeah, until tomorrow, guys, until the next training session, take it easy.